thank you for meeting with us today. We'd like to hear a little bit more about yourself and your career.
Grace, spelled kind of funny way, funny Irish name. So I'll leave you guys decide on how you want to work that out. Kind of early start to my, I suppose, upbringing and all that. I'm from the very south of Ireland. I played loads and loads of sports. Sport was the one and only passion in terms of where I was going to end up. I always had in my mind that I was going to be some form of an athlete. So yeah, I'm from a place called Clonmel in County Tipperary. And yeah, I kind of early doors were trying out all different sports. It was everything from Gaelic sports to, as we call soccer, your football, but we have our own football. And then I had golf in my family. Rugby kind of came in a little bit later, but tried all sorts. So that was kind of the early doors, early stages. And then I went to pretty much a rugby school after that. So that's kind of where the rugby link really started. And yeah, rugby seemed to take the forefront and became, I guess, the team sport as well became the thing that was most enjoyable. And golf kind of veered off a little bit. I wasn't getting good enough to go pro with that, so ended up going to the rugby side of things, and was lucky enough I got offered for a scholarship in University College Dublin, so UCD in Ireland, which I actually turned down to go to a kind of renowned Irish rugby club called Shannon RFC, and started the real ball rolling with the professional side of sport for me. So down in Munster, the heart of rugby, in Limerick I went to, and that's where it all kicked off. Signed with Munster Academy, was there for a few years. Was actually just before that we got selected for Irish under-20s, won a Grand Slam with the Irish under-20s, had a load of big names that you still see nowadays that are on the Irish team that were involved with it. Awesome experience with that. And then I went on to Munster Academy. I then went to Exeter Chiefs from there. Then I went and I came back to Connacht in Ireland, which is another provincial team over here. Played Heineken Cup. I played top level rugby over here. I played for Ireland Sevens out in Dubai in the World Cup. So loads of fun experiences in that. And like what you'll see in the presentation, there's elements of my sporting career that are kind of main part of that then cross over obviously with the educational side, as I said, with UCD, which is the University College Dublin. Yes, I did turn that down, but I went to the University of Limerick, which is Munster's training ground. Essentially, it's their home of their high performance centre. And University of Limerick is really a high-end university in Ireland, really well renowned. But rugby was the main focus, and I went down there trying to put together my education to get a degree in business, which I deferred. As I was saying a little bit earlier, I deferred for a couple of years actually, with the whole emphasis on I couldn't handle the strain of rugby and education and all this. Huge regret of mine not to stick with it now, having two businesses. But yeah, so that's kind of where my talks like this come in, and trying to promote the fact that education and sport link and are very important, both sides. So from there, I ended up getting through a different form of it. I went down the line of sport again. I got a national certificate in exercise and sport in Ireland. Then as I went playing with Connacht, I managed to get a diploma. I managed to get a degree in strength and conditioning while doing like a diploma in nutrition and bits and pieces on the side as well, my coaching elements. So all of that came through. And basically it kind of, now looking back, there's a reality side to having that degree and having that piece of paper behind me now, because when you're back in that maybe 16 to 20 age group where you're a budding professional athlete, you're tipped to go far, you've represented your country, this, that, and the other, you're not really focused on education necessarily. There's a kind of vast majority that aren't. So for me, looking back and where I feel I can help in projects like this and programs like this is to show the reality of I guess how many make the professional setup, and also how not to put anyone off being a professional athlete or that no one believes in you or anything like that, but to show that it's a short-term career. Very few make the actual dizzying heights of some of them that are paid mega bucks. And the reality for a lot of us, even myself, having played at an international and top level, is you have to start up a career after rugby, for those of you that are kind of keen professionals or keen to become sporting or making a career out of a sporting lifestyle, out of all the boys who entered an academy at the age of 9, less than 1% make it or make a living from the game. So it's quite a short odds, really, in terms of numbers.
Such an incredible statistic, that one, isn't it? It's and it doesn't, very small odds.
Absolutely, and it doesn't get much better. As I was saying to you guys, only 180 of the 1.5 million players who are playing organised youth football in England at any one time will make it as a Premier League pro. So really small numbers. The success rate is 0.012%. So I'm not trying to fear people up. And I know this isn't just based on aspiring young athletes and aspiring professionals, but it is a kind of stat for showing that just because you've got your sport, or it may be music, or it may be some form of other career, that having the likes of education and associating maths, which a lot of your students hopefully are really good at, with the career is really important. My final stat on that, which is even more worrying for any budding golfers out there, a golfer has 1 in 326,000 chance of seeing their name on a tour leaderboard. That's a 0.0003% chance. So you will probably not even know someone who knows someone who knows someone that could be a professional golfer. So it's really low odds. It's I was lucky to be one of the few that made a career out of it and got paid to play. But the reality is there is definitely a need for education and at least giving yourself the best opportunity to, how I look at it is rounded. Be as rounded as you can be. Give everything a shot. Tee yourself up in every single direction so it can all come together quite nicely. One of the other slides I had was just to mention that even the best have a backup plan. So you've got the likes of Michael Jordan, so famous basketball player who's got a degree in geography. You've got Vincent Kompany, who's renowned professional footballer who would be making mega bucks just as much as Michael Jordan was, but still has a degree in business. People like that. So there's even the top athletes, even the best in the world, have a plan, and they put sport first, but also have something to fall back on, because you're only one injury, you're only one illness, God forbid, you're only one thing away from it not going the way you wanted it to. So a big part of my life after rugby, and why I'm luckily talking to you guys, is to be able to hopefully inspire a few to do have your main focus. No one's trying to take it away from sport or anything like that, but do have that fallback plan, have that link to getting maybe a career in the sport, but just in a different manner,
And yes, one of the things we're trying to do with this numeracy in sport is, yes, you could do this in a sports context, but these are the other jobs that you could do around it. So it's having that plan B, saying if you've got a passion for sport, these are the other bits you can do around it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and I don't want to, I guess I don't want to put anyone off who's not particularly sporty, but the link of the sporting background or whatever your career might be prior to the, let's say, normal careers of, I don't know, 9 to 5 type career. If you are, as I said, a budding musician or whatever it might be, use the links between having that talent to then further your career after the talent. It's not that the talent wears out, it's the fact that there's so many things stacked against you that if you can link it all together, you got the best of both worlds, really. And as you said, Ben, to get it back to sport, you know, if I wasn't to get as far, or having got as far as I did, I personally don't feel I got to where I wanted to be. I didn't play on the main stage for 10 years and blah, blah, blah. But I can use those links from networking with the people that are in the rugby world for me to try and bring it together. And they help my career now after rugby, because I've now represented Ireland at retired level. So all us golden oldies get to go out and try and do it, even though I'm not that old. But so there is lots of links, and there's many ways to link it all together and not just be solely focused on your sport or your first career, you know.
And I think that's another key thing, isn't it? When whatever job you're thinking about doing, the networking and talking to people, because that will help you out immensely.
Yeah, hugely. And I guess, I suppose the main reason we're here really is to link it all to maths. I mean, in rugby career and in sporting career, obvious to many, I guess, that it comes down to the most simplest of things, from the dimensions of a pitch to or a court or whatever you may be playing on, to the statistics of how well someone performed, to the stats around fitness, strength and conditioning. My background in that side of things, it can get very technical and very deep in terms of power outputs, in terms of everything to your stats on field, missing tackles, making tackles, distance you ran. It is literally everywhere. I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. And the modern game of sport, of any sport that is at an elite level, they are stacked with mathematicians, analysis, statistics, every type of form of maths you can imagine is there. So yeah, I mean, it's everywhere.
Definitely. I think that's something that we found so fascinating doing these numeracy and sports sessions as well. You know, it is within the whole game and within the preparations for the game and actually choosing players and being selected for different things. There's so much involved. And that's what we'd like to show students as well. You know, whatever level maths that they're studying at college alongside their chosen programme is going to support them in their career. And, you know, in every career involves an aspect of maths day to day. And I'm sure running your businesses now, you're constantly looking at spreadsheets. Yeah.
Yeah, hugely. Well, that's it. And I mean, I'm lucky my businesses, I give a sneaky shout out there to Olus Plus, which is a CIC, so it's a community interest company, not for profit, but setting that up, as you said, in terms of admin, from the simplest form of admin to the sporting side, which I said I'm lucky enough to have. We're PE specialists in primary school, so we look at trying to get children from A to B, get teachers from A to B, and learning how to teach it better. And that involves a lot of maths. It involves scaling things up and trying to get a baseline and then a progression and then reporting on that. So it's everywhere. And my other business, which is the Pro Rugby Academy, again, lucky that it's in sport for aspiring rugby players. Yeah, you can imagine we had a camp over the summer that had 30 players, aspiring young players, and they got fitness tested. They got given programs to then follow on with and try and progress their career, and it's all based on maths. Everything. We've got a schools program with Olus Plus that is specific to combining science, maths, and PE, which is I mean, everything from the trajectory of throwing a ball to the distance you jump or anything like that it's all linked, and it's all really exciting. I mean, I won't lie to you, maths, me sitting down writing maths back in school wasn't my favorite thing to do, but when you can put an equation together on a Excel spreadsheet and feel like you've mastered maths all of a sudden, then there's a lot of positives from it.
I think
it's trick, isn't it? Once you find the maths that makes it relevant to you. So if you say you're playing rugby and someone tells you the trajectory of the ball is going to make it go this far, and you can get the ball to go a little bit further, or if your kick's gone a bit further, then those bits that make it relevant to you will make it that much more interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, when you link it all together, and I know rugby well, I know golf reasonably well, but it's across all sports. When you link the fact that they've got people in jobs in the sport that don't necessarily play the sport. So you've got your strength and conditioning coach who has to be so up to date with, like, how do we get a guy more powerful or a girl more powerful or quicker or fitter? And it's all come down to stats in terms of GPS tracking. You've got everything you can imagine techie that goes with maths is in sport. So that's a guy's job. You've got analysis who is looking at matrix full of just numbers to make up stats to then give across to the coach who's then, so that, I mean, I've just named three jobs that, and they're not physically playing the sport, so and that's besides the actual players themselves needing to have that element of maths and an understanding to the relevance of the maths that's in their sport, because without it, I mean, going to the most basic of things, you need to know scores. I know that's simple. Everyone can do their kind of 1, 2, 3s and adding up and little bits and pieces. But when it comes to crutch situations, you got a player in a position who's a leadership role. You need to know in rugby, we've got, say, 2 minutes left and we're down by 4. You can't kick at the post. You only get 3 points. You got to go for 5. And I know that sounds very basic, but it just shows how much it runs through it. Everything from the penalties having to be back 10 meters in rugby, from the lineouts to being it has to go 5 meters. So it's constant, just because we're not sitting down and writing out some fantastic equation that I personally wouldn't be able to make sense of, doesn't mean it's not relevant and everyday maths.
Definitely, it becomes automatic, doesn't it? I'm sure as you're playing, it's just, you don't realise you're using it. It's just that automatic.
Yeah. Even just now, it's like fascinating how much of an integral part of sport it is, and life in general, really, but like sport specifically, because it's key to making up literally all the numbers. You've got it all adds up. So.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your, fascinating career and squished into like such a, so much stuff in such a short amount of time. And then to be able to go on and work, to create your business, which is supporting the next generation of players to come into the sport, and young people, I think is just awesome. So thank you. And we know that we're going to be, working with you a lot this year with our students. And we're really excited that you're going to be part of our Maths Corner Challenge for October. So there'll be more released on that soon. So keep an eye out for videos. And then we'll start the challenge.
Yeah, brilliant. No, really, really looking forward to it, and just honoured to be a part of it. I really enjoy helping others. Really enjoy trying to come up with things that can make things easier for other people. So a little bit of creativity on that front. So I'm really looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing the challenge and letting everyone know about the challenges. And I'm excited.